Hey everyone, Ian Swanson with RacingCards.com. Going to do just a quick community interview with Noah from Pioneer Sports Cards. Been watching his videos on YouTube and following his Instagram at Pioneer Sports Cards. A lot of really cool insights and trying to dive deep into Formula One card collecting. So thought it'd be a good opportunity to meet somebody from the community, maybe learn a little bit, and have some fun. And at the end of this, I'll open up a box of Topps Dynasty. So with that, Noah, maybe you can give a little bit of background on yourself of where we can find you on Instagram and YouTube, and maybe start off by saying what got you into Formula One racing cards.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. And it's a lot of fun just to talk to people. Yeah, my Instagram is just the name as it is below, Pioneer Sport Cards. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. Trying to get Twitter eventually, but that's a long road for me. I'm not the best with Twitter, but we'll get there at some point. I started just general sport cards when I was younger, maybe like 8 to 10 is when those are what I first remember. I think the first cards that I really remember was 2008 Upper Deck baseball, but it was like, or maybe it was Topps. I can't remember. I think it was 2008 Topps opening day. And instead of the white border, it had a red border for the opening day. And those are the first cards I really remember. I used to just love the relic cards. I probably went until about 2012-ish because my childhood collection I had up until about 2012. Then took a few years off. I got back into it 2017, I believe. It was Aaron Judge's year. I did mostly baseball. So yeah, did Aaron Judge, went up to 18 Series 1, which I stopped right before the Acuna and all of that. But so I got there, took a little bit of a break, jumped back into cards. I don't remember if it was late 2019, early 2020, somewhere around there. I think it might have been early 2020 with the pandemic. I just got back into it. And then Formula One cards specifically, I remember I just love collecting random stuff. I'm wearing like a NASCAR shirt, so I've always been a huge racing fan.
Yeah.
So I always knew the NASCAR. I thought F1 might have stuff. So I just kind of poked around and I ended up finding the Topps Now from 2020. I think it was maybe around card 8 to 10, maybe of that. So it was pretty early in the 2020 print run. I went pretty heavy on a few cards from that set. I have a complete set of that.
Nice.
And I kind of jumpstart the F1 stuff. I eventually got into Chrome, kind of probably later than most people, to be honest. But yeah, ever since then, recently I've been diving into vintage stuff, just trying to find the oddball stuff. I've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I'm older than you, so I was collecting cards in the 80s and mid 90s, mostly baseball back then and basketball, but it was kind of like the junk wax era. So most of that stuff just wasn't worth that much, and started getting back into card collecting just in the past year, and became a fan like a lot of people through Netflix of just Formula One, which sounds a little bit embarrassing, but I really follow it. I watch the practices, the qualifying, the races and stuff, and the cards. I just felt like these first releases of the cards almost had this energy around the early releases of basketball, going back to 86 Fleer, probably before you were born, but
way before.
Yeah. So it made it exciting that you can be at the forefront, of something. So maybe we can jump into that. You've collected the Topps Now, which is awesome to have that complete set. I don't have that complete set, so good for you. And then Chrome, I think you said to me before that you've ripped open a box of Chrome. What was that experience like? Did you get any hits?
Yeah. So I have a funny story with that box. I bought it, I think it was in June. I bought it for, I think, maybe $450 in June at one of the shows. So I got it for a good price, all things considered now. Took it back home, and I said, you know what? This is the box I'm gonna hold sealed. That lasted one day.
Yeah.
Ended up opening it. The box, well, at the time, I didn't know how good of a hit I actually got. But I pulled a numbered track tags of Verstappen out of 50.
Oh, wow. That's
Gold.
a really good one.
And now that's thousands, but back then that was just a couple $100 card. I ended up trading that away for now I laugh at it. I traded it for a Hamilton Chrome base, a Leclerc refractor, and a Russell refractor.
Oh my God.
So at the time, I actually got better value out of it, but looking back now, that's a thousands and thousands. But the only thing my saving grace is that the Leclerc I sent in got a PSA 10.
Oh, that's
That
cool.
kind of helped offset some of that value, but
Yeah. The first so I'm pretty similar. I bought multiple boxes. I got in though when they were like $800 a
okay.
box or so, so a little bit after you. And I had some boxes just sitting there, so maybe about a week, and then I ripped it. And the first box I pulled out a gold number to 50 solid gold Hamilton,
Oh
and I
yeah.
was like, "This is easy," And then I sold that for $12,000, so pretty good
Yeah.
flip, in just a few weeks, on that. But in hindsight, like I've ripped open quite a few boxes, and now I look back on that going like, damn, that was actually a rare, box bill pull. Like I've actually only pulled 2 color track tags, and
Uh-huh.
I've ripped 4 cases. So the fact that you got that out of your first box is pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's
It's
not bad at all. What about like, so where are you finding cards? Like if you're not ripping, are you buying or trading? Like and you said you traded that track tag.
Yeah, so the way I mostly do is I go through the F1 card Discord.
Hmm.
That's just the number one place I go. I think we just got over 600 members, and it's just
Awesome.
all F1. That's where I did most of my stuff. There's a few things on Instagram here and there where I'll try to sell stuff, but most of it's through Discord. I've met so many people through there that are
Yeah.
just big into F1. Similar story to you with Drive to Survive, and me as well, Drive to Survive. So it's just, but also like in that group, I've met people who have been fans since the 80s and 90s. They've done basically everything, and they just found cards as like a secondary thing to their love of F1. So
Yeah.
that's mostly
Similar,
what
like on the old stuff, like I've been at card shows where people come up and go, "This is kind of crazy. There's all these new fans."
Mhm.
I've been a fan, not me, but like somebody I'm talking to says been a fan for decades. And so
Yeah.
they've been collecting, more of the vintage. What are your thoughts on the vintage? You recently posted a video of some of those cards, but
Yeah.
do you think they are undervalued and maybe just people don't know much about it? And maybe because they don't know about the drivers, if they're this newer fan base, like what's your take on vintage?
I've always, I'm not going to say I came up with this idea. I've heard it from plenty of YouTubers as well. So, but when a new like hobby, like a new sport comes onto the market, like I think of soccer first because that's kind of the best one to compare it to. When soccer came out, I remember I'm not the biggest soccer guy, but I mean like Holland got hot and Mbappe got hot. They all got hot, and then after a year or two, people said, "Whoa, these prices are high. What Pele can I find? What
Mhm.
Maradona can I find?" So they go back and they start looking and they go, "Wow, this is so cheap." And now you look at soccer vintage and it's exploded. And I think the same thing with F1 right now. Knowing who to buy can be very beneficial for you, especially because the prices I've found are, all things considered, super cheap. Like some of the cards in good condition. I mean, it's hard to find them. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I could even go into how I've had to find some. It's a pain to find these, but like I think your reward for finding this stuff could be astronomical because people are trying to find that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Like I've I've ripped open quite a few of the 92 grid.
Yeah,
And I would say out of every box that I've ripped, and you can find boxes for around $200, I've pulled at least one, if not sometimes 3 Schumacher rookies, out
yeah,
of it. Now the boxes are hard to find in the US. You typically have to ship them in from like Argentina or
yeah,
maybe Canada if you're lucky, or possibly Australia. But like the hits are pretty good in them, and the value raw on those cards are $60 to $100, but when you get them PSA graded, I mean, they're going for quite a bit right now. So I think to your point, there's a lot of value in vintage. Is there any particular drivers in vintage that for this newer audience into Formula One that you think
yeah,
are kind of those collectible names? You mentioned like Pele in soccer, for example.
yeah.
Like, who are those people in F1?
So I guess I won't go in any particular order. I'll name about 5 to 10 of them. The bigger ones are going to be Schumacher, obviously with the 7 championships. If you're going to go very old, 1950s, you go Juan Manuel Fangio. Then you'll have the guys in the 80s. You'll have Prost. You'll have Senna. You'll have some people say Fittipaldi. I kind of like my sweet spot range for vintage. I like to find is the 60s to early 70s.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
I find that to be a nice sweet spot. So like you'll have Jackie Stewart, which I recently bought. I'm looking to buy a Jim Clark. You'll find Bruce McLaren, who create a McLaren. So you'll find good names.
I got one of those. I got his rookie card. Yep.
Yeah, you'll find a Nicky Lauda in 1974. So that's kind of the sweet spot I like to find because they're rare enough where people can kind of still know some of the names, but it's not 1954. Where because I personally have to have something with a good design.
Yeah.
That's just my thing. Like if it doesn't have a cool design, I don't want it anyways. Because if I'm gonna hold it, I might as well enjoy looking at it. And if everything goes down, at least I enjoy looking at it. So I'm fine with holding them forever. That's always been my thought process. So those are the names you're going to probably look out for the most. There's a few names here and there that you could probably do well with, but I think those are where to start.
Yeah.
And then there's even like certain cards I think that are really nice, but that's getting too much into it.
Yeah, that's pretty detailed. Yeah, the vintage so going back to, like you said, like Bruce McLaren and stuff, getting into the 60s and 70s, awesome. Even just, the box that's been so hard to find for me is the Futera, like 2006, and trying to find like a Hamilton like rookie, like can't find it. And
I can tell you won't find one.
Apparently they only had like 430 boxes. I have a Futera like insert set with like Alonso and Schumacher and stuff called Pace, which I think is awesome.
From 2005, yeah.
Yeah, those ones are just, super sick cards. But to your point, like there's some, I think, undervalued or underappreciated cards there that I think the market's going to catch up to for sure.
Yeah, on your point with 2006 Futera, one of my good friends from Australia, he's like the Futera king. He has like a signed set of every single card from 2006.
Wow.
Like he's the master of Futera. So I talked to him about it big time, and I finally managed to get him to sell me his duplicates from 2006 Futera, or at least some of like the lower end ones. Hamilton? So I'll finally have some 2006 Futera. No big names or anything.
Yeah.
I think the biggest card I'm getting is the Dan Weldon.
Yeah,
who passed away from IndyCar in 2011. So
yeah,
getting some fun stuff there. I mean, it's just with that stuff, you're not finding it. And I'm pretty sure he told me stories of when 2006 Futera came out. He would see he said only 400 boxes. They would open them for the one of ones and the mems, and any base card they would toss in the trash. So like going back now, he's talked to people and he thinks there's like anywhere from like, I think he said he knows of where 10 of them are.
Wow.
Like because he owns one, so he wants to know where they all are. And he says he knows 10. He thinks there might be almost 25 of them because they would just toss them away. So
yeah, that's going to be a grill card for some people that start hunting. Like I think PSA for the Hamilton, they've only graded 2.
Yeah, so and that one of them was just recently. The 9 was just recently, within the last week or so.
So maybe jumping to like, what are some of your favorite cards?
That I currently own.
That you own, yeah.
So I don't have any with me. Some of the next ones are back home, but my favorite card I own is it's the 2020 Topps Chrome Sapphire. It's the Lewis Hamilton portrait out of 70. I'm trying to build the entire black set from it. I have all driver portraits, so I got the hard ones out of the way. I think I'm over a third of the way done. That's probably my favorite card. Then, I don't know. I also really enjoy, I got a 1995 Futera because Futera had 94, 95. I have a Redemption. It has Schumacher on it. It has Senna on it. Oh, I can't remember the last one, but it has 2 of like the all-time best, and it's numbered to 3,000.
Wow.
Really like that card. Recently bought
is that the, I'm going to mispronounce this, like the Adelaide card?
Yeah, the Adelaide. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Recently bought from the 1995 Adelaide. It was a Schumacher Redemption. That way they printed only 500, so it's a number to 500 Schumacher from the sets.
Oh, sweet.
Those are probably my favorite recent from F1. I've made some recent purchases that are not F1. I mean, I even made a purchase today. I'm always just looking for weird stuff.
So speaking of that Hamilton, the black 70th, the Sapphire one. By the way, that card just looks slick given like the black that he's wearing and then just the card itself. So I had that one in a BGS. I think it was a 9. Yeah. I traded it. I still don't know if it was the right value of the trade, but I traded it for 3 George Russell cards, these 2 orange ones, but a printing plate of his portrait.
Okay.
but that's one of two trades that I look back on that I kind of kick myself on, and I'm not really sure. Like I might still have upside, especially on the printing plate.
Yeah.
That's the black one. But the other one was I had a black printing plate of the track tag of Verstappen.
Oof.
And the black track tag printing plates look awesome.
That's my favorite. It's my favorite printing plate. Yeah,
it's awesome. Like you see everything clearly, you know, and the printing plates just have a cool design on it. And I remember like the day I shipped it, I was just like regretting it. Like it was a big struggle for me.
Yeah.
So what about like any hits that I guess for you, you're not ripping a lot, you're trading a lot, right? So you don't have any like random bad reds you've pulled of like Claire.
Oh, hey, I didn't say I haven't joined some breaks.
Okay. All right. So any like big rare hits that are like, oh man, I wish that was Verstappen.
I haven't done that many. The only one that I think qualifies was I pulled a out of 5 Drugovich from Sapphire.
Yeah, that totally counts, man.
And the reason that it was disappointing was we got one random F1 team and one random F2 team. So like it could have been like just any red, and it would have been. Yeah. So I still have it. Like I just haven't gotten rid of it because it's like it was my first ever F1 break. Yeah. So I'm like, maybe I'll hold on to it. It's not a big card, but I remember like I saw a red. And like, I don't know, I think in the break I had a Renault. So I was like, oh, let me get an Ocon. Let me get a Ricardo, which would be a huge hit.
Yeah, huge.
And then I got Drugovich, and I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, I've been, you know, in ripping these cases, just pain, you know, when you see like a red team principal, you know, or an F2 team card, you know, in red, or, you know, I showed you earlier, I have I pulled one super refractor out of a case, you know, and it's Samaya, and he's not, you know, he's not even an F2 driver. And it's like, man, I was like, it's just killer. Hey, my last question, I'm going to rip open this box of Dynasty, is in terms of drivers, who do you think right now is like undervalued, meaning like a buy going into the, you know, 2022 F1 season?
Yeah, I'll do a quick plug. I actually did a video where I ranked every single driver in the set from 2020 Topps Chrome, and I ranked them. The one that I think, well, it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a few years out, or if you're looking for this season. If you're looking for this season, I think Sainz and Leclerc are your two best buy. I really like Ferrari this year.
Yeah.
I think those are the best. If you're looking for something a few years on the line, I think still Vettel is still incredibly undervalued for how many wins and world championships he has. So I think those are your probably 3 best. I would go the 2 Ferrari guys for upside this season.
I'm 100% on board on Sainz. I mean, the way he closed out the season, the last half was great. If they, you know, put a lot of effort in the development, which Ferrari says that they did on the new regulations, you know, maybe they'll be back up there.
Yeah.
So I think Sainz has a lot of upside. I actually, at this last card show, I traded, and people are going to think this is crazy, a Topps Now like 3 card, like the Lewis Hamilton, like first Topps Now card.
Yeah.
Graded. I traded for a Carlos Sainz autographed Dynasty card, just a straight up trade. And, you know, if you were to look in November, those cards sold for like the Dynasty for like 400 or 500. One just sold last night on eBay for like 1,400. So like, I think the market's starting to get there again on Sainz, but like, you know, if there's somebody who can surprise a lot of people, meaning the casual fans, it might be Sainz next year. So
then I'll touch on Leclerc real quick, just for a minute before you break it. I think people are. It's funny, like with how well Sainz did. I think people are still undervaluing Leclerc, because while like Sainz was consistent last year, he didn't have a moment where he really like tried to go for it. Whereas Leclerc, I thought, constantly would try to go for it. Where he was at Monaco when he crashed out, or fighting, and then he would crash. Like they started on the same points. There's a guy. He has the big upside of the wing. It's just, do you want the tortoise or do you want the hare, basically, between the two.
Yeah. Well, and Leclerc, like, you're right, went for it. Similar to like how Max went for it, you know, in terms of qualifying, you know, and stuff. But you know, people forget he's a multiple time race winner, you know, and there's not that many, you know, on the grid. So he knows how to win.
Yes.
You know, and both of them on Ferrari, they were like right there next to each other. in those last few races. So yeah, I agree on signs. The one that I watched your video, actually. The one that I would disagree that you had on the bottom of the list, and maybe you're right now because the prices are high, was I was a big buyer back in like August, September of Zhao, because I thought he would make it, in F1 or had a chance to. And I think just if he can bring forward, the audience in China, in terms of the population, maybe there's still some upsides in his cards, but it's a little bit of an unknown entity right now because he did okay, in F2, had some good races, but it'll be interesting to see what he does as Bottas's teammate Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, it was hard. I can agree with the Chinese market. It's just hard for me to put him higher. I think especially now, the prices are way too high for him. I think when you're buying in August, that was perfect. But the problem is sure now you have a Guan Yu Zhou card. You have his card. You want to move to a Chinese buyer. Where are you going to find that Chinese buyer? Are you going to have to try to sell it on eBay where they take 10%? Now now they have after $600 they're going to take tax money on it. So is that worth it to you? You have to find the right way to do it. And that's going to be the hard thing with it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to rip open. Let me pull this up here. This box of Dynasty. You have not opened up one yet of Dynasty, right?
I have not opened one up. I've seen plenty of boxes be open though.
All right, so I've opened up 2. So this is my third. Yeah. And the first one, I think I got, well, maybe one can argue somebody else is a worse card, but I think I got the worst card, or one of them. It was a Cyril. So
I was going to say, you got a Cyril Circle Auto. Yeah.
A Circle Auto numbered to 10, so not even numbered to 5. And what drove me nuts about that one, and by the way, my wife's a fan, likes Cyril, but I was like, the guy didn't even care to write his real autograph.
Yeah, I know.
It was so carefree. He just to your point, just drew a circle on it, and it was like, come on, man. So that was my the first one that I had. So let me rip open this box.
I should also say that you are nuts for opening this box. I would never ever dare to open this. So more power to you.
Yeah, the second box that I got was a Albon autograph, number to 10. And honestly, I think Albon's a decent buy right now too.
Yeah.
I think he could have a lot of upside going into next year. All right. So this other camera is a little bit on delay. These are always hard to uncover.
I know.
Hard. So let me see if I can somehow.
I think, find the patch.
So I got a red triple patch. So red would be out of 5.
Yes.
And I'm going to just see if I can get the logos up. All right. So here's my guess. We either have Haas or we have Red Bull, maybe.
I will take a guess, and I will say you got a Grosjean.
Yeah. Triple. I'm thinking Grosjean triple or Magnussen triple. I don't think this.
I didn't want to say Magnussen because I hope it's a Grosjean at least.
I know. I hope it's a Grosjean too. I have a red chrome auto. So to 5 Grosjean. I actually really like that card. Yeah. Doing an Indy. All right, I'll just go for it, and I was right.
Oh, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to put that.
Oh, man.
I didn't want to put it on.
So Kevin Magnussen, number to 5, 2 out of 5. Still pretty sweet to get a red, but he's not in Formula 1, and he's doing races here or there, various circuits. But
I mean, he just did do the 24-hour Daytona, so. Yeah. I don't know. I could have told you I knew there was gonna be a Haas just from that logo, that one on the right with the circle, and I don't know. I couldn't dare come on here and say you're gonna pull a Magnussen.
That's why I said it. That's why I was like you could start to tell these things pretty quickly. I was trying to give hope to myself that it might be a Red Bull, but anyways, it could have been worse. Maybe. I don't know if Gunther is worse than a driver, but it's hard
about to get Gunther and Magnussen.
The drivers go, it's this one or Kvyat that are the worst ones, I think, to pull out of Dynasty. Well, hey man, I appreciate the quick interview. Noah, I think, in terms of the videos you're posting on YouTube, a lot of cool stuff, right? So you're educating
Appreciate
the
it.
community. So really appreciate the videos, and people can find you not only on YouTube at Pioneer Sports Cards, but also they can find you on Instagram where you're, doing trades, you're buying, you're selling, and you're also in that Discord, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining, man.
So,
really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me on. It was a lot of fun. Just even watching a Dynasty be open is always fun for me. So appreciate you having me on.
Next time we'll get a bigger hit, man. We'll get a bigger hit.
Hopefully we can.
All right, racingcards.com.